Hi everyone. I'm having trouble with connection, so I apologize. We may be connecting and reconnecting. I'm hoping everyone in the house has their internet off so we can have time together. This is the mountain, Mount Shasta. I would love that I was outside, but it's... Sorry, people, we're just gonna have to deal with this till I can have time to sort it out. We're just gonna be connecting and reconnecting. And I apologize if I don't hold this morning. Good morning. If I don't hold this morning, I'll make a video and post it. So I apologize. We have really good cell, supposed to have, I'm right by the router. So I don't quite understand why it's connecting or reconnecting unless someone else is on the line. So let me know how it goes with this connecting and reconnecting. It might just be short, just long enough for you to see the mountain. So when I got here this morning, about 4 o'clock, you probably read it if you just got on. There was this insurgence of this vertical time. So I want to try to explain it to you. I want to try to presence it for you. I noticed how hard it was on me to come downstairs and to be where clock time was the ruling time, not the presence of the sacred or the presence of preparing for going to prepare. So it's a thing for me to come to the mountain because I'm probably closer to my home than I am anywhere else in the world. And it's not really the mountain herself. It's more that there's so many portals and gateways both into the inner earth and up into the stars. That's why I'm at home. It's like the difference between being rural and being non-rural and being universal. So when I'm here, the insanity of what has happened to humanity becomes hypersensitive. So this morning at 4:30, I was aware of a column. I don't think we have the right word for it. An opening. And I was given instructions, which I always am here, directional instructions that are designed with a certain benefit, at least where I sit. I apologize, we're just gonna have to do it this way because I am gonna have to get said what I need said. So with a certain benefit and a certain purpose. Benefit is that our molecular atomic particle substance is made of creation, and it is a receptacle of consciousness that allows for an interactive, related, symbiotic relationship with the entire universe. But the other thing is there's this vertical world. It's, we have all these preps, these endowment her. If you're in the path of initiation, they ask you to meditate 15 minutes before the beginning of the call. And so that's like the linear way of imagine it. Just imagine it. People think they're sitting in a chair and meditating. They don't realize that that it's opening up a portal, a gateway, a shift into a so above, so below. The beta wave of a human being. I don't know how they're ever in touch with anything. So this morning at 4:30, they showed me. I really, honestly, am not sure I can explain it. But they showed me how this sort of tunnel, this sort of collapse, like a column had fallen over on its side. And I got instructions. And the first one was the geopathic necessity to link the body to the earth. And you can read it on the Mimzy Project Facebook page. It was basically to take time to oil or feet so that the receptors in the feet are active. Massage them. And the other one was to put in certain instructions, since human beings don't do it naturally, to put in certain instructions that give we're going to call them the Mimzys, give the Mimzys time to kind of upright the column, to kind of, upright the column. And if you thought about it in time, the time would be linear time, that is the fallen column, where you don't have to be anywhere until that moment in time. Like, so you can rush to the grocery store, you can rush today. Everybody rushed because they had time, they thought, to get here at the top of the hour. That's the collapse column. So there's no self-preparation. There's no respect or honoring of a space of consciousness that is operating on behalf of all life and has life exist as whole. And I don't mean me. I mean it's a misappropriation of time in the human system. And it's worth examining. It's actually worth examining, not making yourself wrong or anything. And what is it that has us run by a clock time that has nothing to do with being here? Has nothing to do with being. Has nothing to do with our value as a species, with the human race as a value as a species. Has nothing to do with preparing for the sacred. We're really Pavlov's dog, aren't we? Bing, 8 o'clock, be ready. I've got to get a shower in, I've got to get thing. And for me, it's particularly disruptive because I always take 20 to 10 minutes before any event to sit and make sure I've shifted my my GPS. Well, that's probably my geopathic. I've shifted my GPS out of linear time into being one with creation. And creation is vertical. And actually, it's quite remarkable. Yesterday, one of the things that happened that demonstrates it is I wanted to get here before dark. That was the only driver I had in our normal human consciousness. But I also didn't want us to rush. And I knew that we needed to have stillness starting yesterday. And so I said we'd all take a nap before we got on the road, which would have made it about 3 or 4 o'clock. But instead I took a nap because they were still busy. And Kaya, she takes a nap, she sleeps a long time. And when I woke up, I realized that Sarah's always been able to sleep in the car. And Kaya wasn't going to sleep anyway. So we ended up leaving between 2 and 2:30, which was exactly when I wanted it to be the latest that we left. But it wasn't just that. Everything stayed slow. Nothing was, oh my God, we got to hurry and get packed. Oh my God, we got to hurry and get in the car. Oh my God, we got to be there before dark. It was none of that. at least not in me, but it didn't feel like it was in any of us. And then we let Sarah rest. We listened to an extraordinary speech by an extraordinary man. And then we started to approach the mountain, and there she was. And for me, in all the years I've come here, when she's like this, open, and the sky's empty, she's in communication. Her eyes are open. In Damanhur, they say that the primordial gods have their eyes closed. They're not paying attention until it's their turn. And in all the years, I have had a mind that lives in the substance of the primordial nature of this planet. If she's like this, if there's nothing in the sky, she's just open. She's got her eyes open. She's engaged. She's aware. In my case, of me, but I also think of us. And I take advantage. I give her a lot of attention. I don't know if you saw the pictures I took. I was taking them through the windows of the car, so some of them are a little odd. But it isn't a tourist wanting to gather pictures. It's a lover paying attention to her beloved with great enthusiasm, almost erotic. So I could say that the activity of consciousness between what we call the Mimzys, these intelligences that I met in 2009, and us, both those of us on this call, here on the mountain and coming to the mountain, those of us that will continue to participate. That those are pretty early morning dial-in for them. Pretty immediate. Someone I love deeply is in a relationship with a new term, a they. And yet that they is one person of multiple sexual origins. And that's like the Mimzys. They're a they, but they're what a human race is also supposed to be part of. They're an intelligence that is a compilation of multiple expressions of existence, all of which operate on behalf of life. They don't even know otherwise. It's why they're always so enthusiastic. The interesting thing about this morning was that it was like, I don't know if it's even possible to describe this either. There's just no adrenaline. There's no have to, or there's no caught up in to do. It's different. It's not even personality. Like it's, oh, great to feel you in my head. It's not even that. That's why I've always questioned some of the New Age stuff, because it seems to be so identity-centric or personality-centric, like I heard them. But it isn't like that. And thank you all. We're now holding. So thank you. We're not reconnecting all the time. It's not like that. It's like presence that just carries a different template of interaction. And you recognize it, don't you? Voices and your best friend's voices and, public figure voices. It's like that. I always smile because then Ireland, if someone used to call in on the big black phones, the person would turn and say, it's herself, or it's himself. And the Gaelic language has that quality. It isn't an object. The tree isn't an object. It's an intelligence that you share. We call it sentient intelligence because we have to have a way for people to have permission to allow something to exist in their mind that already is designed to be there. So it isn't woo-woo, like, oh my God, the Mimzy's contacted me this morning. It isn't that. It's like when you and another person are just pragmatically doing what you need to do because there is to do, and there isn't anything else to do except that. It's like that. There's no thought of what we'll get or what we'll give, or there's no thought like that. There just isn't. And the word Tantra Maat in the 6 years we did the Spirals of Being, our commentary that attached to that potentiality of restoration of human beings was we just do what's ours to do. But you know that extra oomph that, oh, this is mine to do. It's not like that. That's what I mean by it's not personality centric. It's just there to do. And because I'm there and the information's coming to me, I'll do it. Can you hear in my speaking the difference between it's coming to me, therefore I'll do it, rather than being guided by an outside force? Linear time is disgusting. It's just disgusting. And its effect on human beings disgusts me. And I will spend the rest of my physical days trying to interrupt it. Maybe some of my non-physical time too. We'll see. But it's disgusting. It's how much can you wedge into an hour? Things become important that take priority over things that are more important. Maybe not to you, but to creation for sure. You know, I used to have this, well, I had this dream a long time, and then I had a follow-up dream. And the dream was a little boy in kind of a blue-collar neighborhood, sitting on a porch. His parents were asleep, and I'd come walking down the street and sit with him, and I was an outsider. I'd come from somewhere else. And I'd sit down with him. I had this dream for years. And I would share with him about the world outside of his neighborhood, because he never left his neighborhood. And then a few years ago, same dream, always the same house with this little short porch that leads into a door with little white square columns on it. You know, probably a very inexpensive little house. But the last time I had the dream, I came and sat down with him. I told him I wasn't coming back. I wasn't coming back because I needed to go take care of things so he could leave the neighborhood. And that's what this project is. The people that are coming today and are part of the Mimzy project and part of the geopathic webbing of the Mimzy project, we're letting humanity know. We really are letting humanity know. Not the personal part. That part basically, I think, stays, unaware, ignorant. But if you had been with the coherence and the extraordinary, just ours to do, that we've been through, even when we got bumped in April, it's clear there's an element of participation this is ours to do. What is it about a human life, the psychology of a human life, the mental perception of a human life, that doesn't realize that their life operates on behalf of all life? What is that? And human beings get so worn down by a singular life. They literally lose energy. They literally lose biological vitality. They literally wear out sooner. Because they're beings that are designed to operate on behalf of all life. They're not designed to be insular. Me, 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 me. They're not. You realize if the human race in this flick of an eye, my eye, do you realize if in that flick of an eye, all the human race realized that everything they did operated on behalf of all life? Do you know that the human race would probably live the 200 years? It has to live the 200 years. We're designed to live 200 years, just to let you know. But we're packed down, rigid. This species is. And they wear out, trying to figure out what to do with their day. And it's the beta wave. I'm late for a very important date. I cannot say hello, goodbye. I'm late. And they're not wrong. They've been educated, programmed, assimilated, conditioned, enculturated, all of the above. And then they make themselves wrong if they try to break out of it. Strange, crazy psychology we carry as a planetary human. Strange. I was in a conversation in a meeting I had where two young women in their 30s were insulting the owner that they work for, who is a remarkable wild woman, just completely unfettered, completely real, completely alive, completely in the intelligence. And the young woman sharing about it is in her 40s, and she spit at him, and not spit literally, but spit words at him, like, just go talk to her, quit maligning her. And that was such a good moment. It was such a good moment. Because she just didn't live in that place, that 40-year-old. She just didn't live in maligning each other, because you're maligning yourself. And so I say, can I tell you what I would have done? I would have listened carefully. And then I would have said, do you know you have toads falling out of your mouth? I'll tell you why. Because one of my operating systems is to just simply interrupt the reality that has us imprisoned. Just interrupt it. Do you know if you just interrupt it, the greater whole of which we're a part will take over? Just interrupt it. I was getting new tires put on my car, and this young man was flaunting he didn't have a mask on. And so he was literally going to stand near the children and the mother. She didn't say anything. The people at the auto tire place didn't say anything. And then he came over and was between the woman and I. There was a woman sitting in a chair and I was sitting in a chair. So I just started laughing. And laughing and laughing and laughing and laughing. Never looked like it was at him. But he moved. Aberration interrupted. That's what these 5 days are about. Interrupting a system that has used up the life force energy of this planet in her forms. That's what this is about. And the people that come physically, and the people that are on the Zoom calls, of the participants that couldn't make it because they were here, they couldn't cross the Canadian border. Two medical doctors said they shouldn't come. But that's why they're not coming, not because they chose not to. So who's your little boy? Who's your little boy sitting on the porch, huh? What are you going to tell him? That you'll make sure he has a world worth living in. That may mean you can't take care of him right then. And I know it works. Field phenomenon works. I traveled the whole time with 2 of my kids. The other kid I was forced to give away. And I know all 3 of them now. They're responsible, generative, alive with life. Nothing's going to stop them. Adult. But I did not hand raise them. In fact, I respected their ability to raise themselves. Do you know how many indigenous cultures the children are considered adults at 12 years old? My daughter bought her first car at 12. She couldn't drive it, of course, but we were in rural Ohio, so she drove it all around because farmers don't care. Their kids drive tractors and everything. And then she lived in it at her friend's house. She made it into like a little camping area. At 15, she moved to Los Alamos, New Mexico. And then I had to drive out with her because she was getting her temporary license. You have to have somebody with her. By the way, she scared me to death. Drives like a maniac. Still does. But she's safe all the time. She's just primordial. So this conversation is just to interrupt the aberration that we find ourselves in and that we measure ourselves by. Imagine measuring ourselves by our monetary wealth, measuring ourselves by how much people like us, measuring ourselves by if we have a good job, measuring ourselves by if we're well. What a waste of time for an extraordinary species. What a waste of time. And I mean that, a waste of time. So since I've been sitting here because they're with me, the them is with me. That little imagery of the column pulled back up to its proper place between here and there, here and theirs, here's and theirs. That's all I'm to watch. This whole job is just keep moving with columns start to lift. What makes it start to upright? What debris can I lift off of it? They'll do the rest. And they will. And if enough human beings have developed their registers for perception out beyond their own 2 ears, they'll get to experience it. if there are human beings that actually think they're not alone, that they're part of a greater universe, even if they can't tag into what they're part of, they'll experience it. And yet at the very same time, human beings don't have to. I work for the mother. I work for the generating, organizing designs of creation. I have for a long time. This planet about 12,000+ years. I come here knowing my life here is temporary. Hardly a flick of an eye. And settle in your time just slightly, because I've got to put things in linear time that interrupt the aberration that has occurred here. Over and over and over again. And I've been back over and over again. You guys aren't half as bad off as you think. This level of consciousness, this level of collective consciousness, this level of new young men and women coming into the substance of a species is beautiful. The leverage of consciousness is far more powerful than other times I've come. Far more powerful. And yes, I've been here when it wasn't like this. It's why I can come back. I have the memory of what the original nature, the original design here was. So it's easier for me to say, not that, not that, not that. Nope, not that. Nope, that's not it. Nope. Someone said to me the other day, they told me why they still did it. I thought it was such a strange thing to say to me. Why would somebody say that they still danced with the aberration? Because I find that weird. I can get that it's all about building strength, stamina, capacity. But to define oneself by the aberrance, it's confusing. Very, very confusing. So she's staying in the shadow. The sun's coming in through my face, right on my face, but I'm not going to have you see me today. We don't know how long she'll stay this way. But she's listening. So just because I'll tell you how we're starting the Mimzy project for those of you that might be interested. Two things. One is that I'll be asking them, starting tonight when they go to bed, to use lotion or oil to massage their feet, put on socks. The minute I did it this morning, I can't even believe my feet. They're like humming. I don't remember humming feet. So it's quite fascinating, of course. Quite remarkable. Oh, we just had a little chipmunk on the rock. How fun. Yep, here he is. He's staring at me. He's looking right up. He's gone again. So that's one thing. The second thing is tomorrow, many of you might know this, Stargate, Prageet and his lovely partner, Julian, they're here on the mountain. And so they were beautiful enough to open up a Zoom opportunity for people being on Zoom at the same time. Those of us that are here are in the room at 7 p.m. tonight. If you're interested, I think all you have to do is just make a message on, if you don't know how to reach, don't try to reach me. You can them in this page, because this is the page that everything's operating on now. And I'll get somebody to post the link to purchase if you'd like. It's $25. If you'd like to join us on in the Stargate tonight at 7 p.m. But to prepare, tomorrow night at 7 p.m. I apologize. Don't worry, somebody's bound to correct me. That's why I love the world I live in. I don't have to always be right. But tomorrow, what we'll be doing is tonight, when everybody gathers for dinner and afterwards, we'll build linkages. I so worry about words because I could say altars, but altars are usually held to worship. And these are linkages. We're going to use the 3 houses to develop a location for where we are so the transmissions can happen more effectively. You can do that too. You see, where are they? Where are they? I promise you, I know this field of which I'm a part. I promise you, you want to go do your own Mimzy project with us? You will find yourself doing it. You just will. You won't be in on the Zoom calls because that's participants only. But you can be in on this call. You can be in on next Friday. You can be in on the November 3rd event. You can be in on the work tomorrow night. I like it much more as community, a human community coming together, not under my banner. Ugh. So what they'll be doing tomorrow is we'll build the altar in the morning. They'll build their linkages. They're linked to the Mimzys and to whatever else starts to participate, because the mountain carries multiple portals. We have no earthly idea. Then we'll bundle up. We'll go to the mountain and we'll journal in color, walk, because the really important part of these next 14 days, beginning today, is that we go into the deeper mind, that we open up channels of consciousness. And that we're so personality-centric. What's in it for me? What am I going to get? How will my needs be met? Will I be better when I leave? But this isn't that kind of thing. We're accepting an invitation to participate in something we probably don't know very well. And it probably scares some people because we've been told that everything beyond us is a boogeyman. But I promise you, wait till you fall in love with what loves you. You'll never be the same after that. You just think that conversation I just had was ridiculous. Stupid. Like, why would you take the time to have a boogeyman in your life, for God's sake? Or God's sake, or whoever's sake. So the purpose of tomorrow is downtime. Coloring, walking, journaling, nothing structured. Because the body is the permeation point. The particle memory is the penetration point for those of us that love the erotic. We can say it's the absorption point for those of you that are less inclined. It's about our particles, our atoms, our molecules, literally getting nourishment. They're galactic nourishment, the nourishment of so above, so below. But it also produces linkage. Linkage. We become points of light. I'll post Randy Travis's YouTube. We literally become points of light. We literally become columns, pillars. We don't even have to change our day because it happens in our molecular atomic particle substance. And I guess the personality can still go wigging around about itself, and the airtime can still control humanity to some level. But there'll be these points of light, these points of linkage. And then over time, if you build it, they will come. Not they, the they of them, but our unity with all creation. That's the they of it. We're part of that they, and they're part of this they. We are one. Don't you just get chills even hearing me say it? We've been lonely too long. There she is. She isn't the only one, but she is one. There are no stories about her that are about boogeymen. There might be some in the New Age stuff, but not the fundamental ones. She's always been a portal. She's always been a home for interactive, interrelated, interdependent. Because creation's dependent on us and we're dependent on it. She's a hub. She's a hub that came and captured me. Because for me, she was only a mountain. So I'm just going to take a few minutes for you to be with her.